Welcome in, welcome in, welcome once again to the newest edition of 3 in, 3 out, the most unique Seahawks recap show in the multiverse. I'm your host, Clinton Bonner, and I am joined by the one, the only, the great Brandon Schultz. Brandon, our Seahawks surged to 3-0 at home. The rest of the NFC West, they all take L's. Well, the Rams, they go to 1-2. They get the W for us. We like that. We are 2 games up on the entire division. How are you feeling going into this Tuesday before the Monday, before we get to go to Lumen Motown?
Oh, it feels so good. 3-0. We have not had to experience a regular season loss quite yet. And when you start stacking those on top of each other, it just starts feeling better and better. And you start feeling like, hey, this is just how it's going to be all season long. We're never going to lose. We're going 20-0, baby.
20-0. We just stack dubs because that's McDonald's way. And yeah, Sojin, I see Sojin shouting us out on YouTube early. Yeah, man, we are live. This is live fire. We're just seeing what goes, right? So, hey, whatever happens, a little flubs, a little dubs, doesn't matter. We're going to enjoy the whole thing already. And for the folks that might be new to 3 in, 3 out, look, we call it the most unique recap show because we dig into the micro moments. We dig into, frankly, just storylines and things that nobody's talking about. And we look at the sober yin, the raging yang, because rarely is there a game that's completely all roses, just not the way. So we do it. We have a lot of fun. We had the From the Flock at the end, so stick around for that. And we're going to have a blast here, Brandon. With that, dude, let's tell the folks who are live what they should be doing if they're here for the first time.
Well, let's just first recognize just how close we were to having a 6-in show. Because as we've talked about in the past, if the Seahawks get a shutout, we go all ins, despite the title of this show being 3 in, 3 out. We scrap all the outs and we go all ins. But yet there was a 1 field goal game on the Dolphins side of the ledger, and it robbed us a little bit. But yeah, that's fine. We were close. Carly knows it. And Carly also knows that you can go to getintheflock.com and you can subscribe to the show. You can get into our Discord. And while you're here, if you're new to this and you have not yet subscribed out on YouTube, if you are watching and you have not yet hit the like button, we would kind of like it if you did those things.
Yeah, if you liked it, if you subscribed, I was looking at the data because I'm, me, big data guy, Brandon, big data guy. So I was diving into the YouTube data and I saw that 41% of the viewers that hung out for the live show you and Adam did post game were not subscribers yet. So I'm like, hey, what gives? You're here, you're clearly digging it. So just hit those subbies, hit those likes. It does help quite a bit. And Brandon, this was a very busy day for me, man. Work is craziness. I was able to scramble and get my 3 in, 3 out shirt on, which I was able to do that for this one, which I love. But amidst all the hubbub, I lost a sticky note. I think you know what sticky note it is. On 3 in, 3 out, we have but one rule. I write it down every week. I lost it again. I need you to help remind me and the good people, what is our one rule on 3 in, 3 out?
It's almost like Marcus knows. Marcus knows that you are never going to remember this rule. You're never going to remember, but Amy is here to help, joining us live in chat. Clinton, when we win, we start with an in.
We start with it. I can't believe I can't remember that. It's been several years, but we start with it in. We start with it in. So let's put a few things up on screen. And as we get going, look, I'm titling this whole thing, What Can We Be? And we want to examine 3 Seahawks that, again, flew under the radar quite a bit. Covered this earlier. Hit the subscribes. You are marching to 5,000 subs out on YouTube. You can help us get there. And doesn't it feel good to help people that are, giving you some content that we love doing it, but, a little subscribesy. And then I did put out a poll, Brandon, that at the end of the game, we got 317 votes out on YouTube. YouTube's become a very cool social network unto itself. The scheduling platform's so easy. It's great. And put this out there. The man of the match was Derek Hall with almost 50% of the vote that you could see on YouTube right now, with a 5-person race there, really blowing away the whole field with the 2 sacks. So that's all cool stuff. All right. So, and like you said, Brandon, when we win, we do start with an in. So let's hit that whammy and let's start with an in. All right. Before I put it on screen, and again, I hope you're watching out on youtube.com/Seahawkers podcast. Hey, if you're listening to the sweet melodious voices that we have, out on the for the Hawkra on the Believe Network, that's okay too. But it really is a visual show, and we'd love to see that. Whoa! We got to call this out. We start with an in, but we also start with a brand new member, Brandon.
Marcus coming in as a new member. Marcus wants access to the emojis and just wants to be recognized on the show. So that's what we're going to do. Welcome to the flock, Marcus.
Love it. Thank you, Marquez. And you get all the shows right on YouTube as well. And that will get you into the Discord too, which is cool. All right. So let me paint the canvas here before I show the graphics. Q1, drive one. Brandon, you know, sometimes I like to go right at the tippity top and then see how things were. And we also know we started hot. 13:43 to go. It's a 1st and 10. On this play, I'll put on screen now. Geno Smith, I counted it. It's not an atomic clock. It's not an Oppenheimer clock, but I counted it. 5.5 seconds to throw the ball. A 19-yard gain to Tyler Lockett down the middle, which got Tyler off, going nice and early. And Brandon, the question I want to pose is, why? How? I heard this offensive line's garbage. How in the world did Geno Smith have 5.5 seconds to throw this pass, Brandon?
I'm going to take a guess. Just that this little pink dashed circle is right around Stone Forsyth and suggests that maybe you have an affinity for some Stone.
Yeah, man. Just go into some Stone nice and early. It's a couple of reasons. First of all, really nobody's talking about him. It's just like, okay, yeah, he's playing admirably, et cetera, et cetera. People watched the Jaden Daniels game last night, and I heard people call it efficient. Like, in what world is that efficient? That was one of the most remarkable QB performances I've ever seen. That's not efficient. That was bombs. That's legs.
Darn near perfection.
Yeah. 2 different people were like, oh, it was an efficient. Why? Because he runs the ball a little bit efficient. Like, anyway. So the same type of thing for me. Stone, I think, is being a bit better than efficient, and very, very early in the game. I'll just plow through this over. We could just see this happy ending, man. Brandon, if folks can go back and rewatch it. Again, right at the top, that drive one. This is a pancake. And do you know who he is putting into Mother Earth there? I know it's hard to see, but do you know who's playing that side at this point?
I don't know who he is planting into the earth there.
It is the Dolphins' best pass rusher, Jalen Phillips. So this is how Jalen Phillips started the game. It's not a good way to start a game, man. He's planted into the earth by Stone Forsyth. And then Geno steps up into the pocket. He has to look for a bit. He's trying to look at DK, not quite open versus Ramsey. The announcers talk about that. And he gets Lockett to that mid-tier for a 19-yard gain. Man, look, we got to give some love to Stone Forsyth, Brandon. And I just want to give you the mic and be like, are you feeling a little bit of love for a dude who's, just not getting talked about too much?
Yeah, Stone was very efficient. He was efficient in the same way that Jaden Daniels was efficient, because on 37 pass rush snaps, he only gave up 1 pressure, which is good for 98.6% efficiency. Find me anybody else on the offensive line that did that other than Connor Williams. I guess it was his revenge game. Those are the only 2 guys that did it. Everybody else allowed more than 1 pressure on the day from each of their respective positions, some more than others. But yeah, great day from Stone, especially when, that right tackle spot, we're down to number 3, right?
Yeah, we're down to number 3, and he's not exactly getting right guard efficiency, right? So it's not like he has an anchor right next to him that's like, okay, I could afford to take a few more risks. Like, nope, he's got to lock it up. He's done a nice job. We will start to think about this Detroit game. That's next Monday, still 5-6 days away at this point. But he's going to get a lot of Aiden Hutchinson coming off that edge. So we'll see. I expect him to chip and double and do all those things because the Lions are fairly imbalanced with how they generate pressure. A bit of a one-man show. So the last thing I'll say about this before we head to our first out is that, look, we got to celebrate some pancakes there, my man. So a little bit of Prince from Chappelle saying pancakes. Just got to love that, Brandon.
I do love it.
All right, bud, hit that whammy. Okay. I hope you all feel, I think, how Brandon and I are feeling. And I think I feel that you are. That's how I feel about this. I'm going to talk a little bit about something that I don't think anybody else is paying attention to. I don't know why. So we're going to go to Q1, 5:48. We're already up 10 nothing, and Miami's got the ball at their own 48-yard line. It ends up being, and I'll talk about this in a second, ends up being like a Ashan, however you want to call it. Ashan from Marku, a 9-yard scamper from Achan. And I'll go through it in a second. What I want to call out though, man, is look, I devour Seahawks content. I'm not just a fan here, right? I'm more than just a dude who gets on and talks about it. So after the game, of course, I was behind the curtains helping to produce for you and Adam on Live on Catfished. You guys didn't talk about it too much. Listened to Nemhauser, listened to Dan Viennes. I even went over and listened to Rob Staten. Then today, listened to Corbin Smith. Of all of them, Rob Staten talked about it for maybe 15 seconds. Maybe he was like, yeah, they probably could have done this more. The thing for me, Brandon, is the Dolphins were actually gapping and just gaping our defensive front when they wanted to. They just stopped doing it. His hubris took over 17-3 with the ball, and they're getting the kickoff in the third quarter, and they're throwing the ball over the yard with bad quarterback play. I don't get it, and I have a play to queue up, but just wanted to see, like, on the look back, did you see some of these? Like, for me, it's like, man, we got gashed by the Patriots. This could have been bad. McDaniel, if he takes the LaFleur approach and goes, well, I've got Malik Willis the first time through. Josh Jacobs had like 32 rushes that game. I just don't know what McDaniel was doing. I think we got lucky, man. I know the end results, 11 for 30, look like crap. Man, I just think we got lucky. Pass it to you before we go through the play right quick.
Yeah, I don't know if it would necessarily be luck that I describe it. It's just, I think that's part of the way that McDaniel wants to play, is that he wants to spread the ball around. He doesn't want to just be kind of one-dimensional, hammer the rock and play that way. That's just not what we've seen from Miami historically. So I don't know if we got lucky in that sense. It's just that they don't recognize the style of football that maybe would have worked in this situation, which in that way, I suppose we're fortunate, but it comes down to coaching, and we can see that they would have been a whole lot better off. Skyler would have taken a whole lot less punishment. He may have actually been able to finish the game if they go with a strong rushing attack, when in a situation where a young quarterback is out there, why do you not help him out? Why do you not run more jet sweeps? Why don't you hammer the ball up the middle with Achan more? I expected it, but they didn't do it.
Man, I'm pulling it on screen now. I know that was a bit of a preamble to get into it, and this will be the longest segment, I think, of the 6. And it's because of what's also coming right around the bend. Right around the bend is Dan friggin' Campbell with that line. Now, granted, they're dealing with injuries too. They got some, potentially the center might be out. They got some challenges there too in Detroit. Last week versus the Cardinals, so they go on the road, the running backs ran the ball 40 times versus the Cardinals. Lions running backs, 40. We just need to understand this and be like, we got to be better prepared. The play on screen, I'm not circling. I am circling. I'm not calling out Jenkins for a bad play. He does get sucked inside, but I'm just kind of progressing through this and showing that, man, there was stuff like this. If you're watching this on screen, there were moments like this, I don't know, 7 or 8 times. Sometimes it got called back and okay, it holds there. Maybe that's why. Many times this was just what was happening. They were getting 7 to 9 yards. Now, credit where due. We stuffed them a lot on like 2nd and 1s, 3rd and 1s. That was good. That was really, really good. But I just want people, like, I'm not like, oh man, we're 3-0 and we didn't beat anybody. I don't care. We played who we played and we're 3-0. This is the NFL. I just want folks to realize come Monday night, we need to play better as a defensive run stopping unit, Brandon.
I would like to see more out of our run stoppers. A part of it is going to be situational, and they're going to have some tough backs coming up against Detroit. Notice the comment here by Jay Smith saying he listened to the Locked On Dolphins podcast today in their review, and that the Dolphins were averaging 6 yards per carry on first down. They stopped doing it. It did seem like they were having success early on those early downs, and then they were going away from it. And despite HN, they can only use him so much, but they didn't really use him on the outside either with the check down passes like I thought that they would hit him with a little bit more too. So I think we're fortunate with how they ended up calling the game overall.
I don't like the way you framed it. Not lucky, fortunate. I do think that, and it's a great pull by Jay there. I didn't go back and listen to it. I did listen to Locked On Dolphins heading into the week just to be like, who should I be, listening for? And not surprising that that podcast had that kind of reaction to it, because I saw what they saw. It's like they could have just kept running the ball. Now, second half, even without Murphy and Leo, we're going to talk about that a bit later because there were some really cool things that happened back on the positive side for sure. I don't think I have the slide here. I think we go to our next. Oh, I had one more. Look at that. I had one more. Just showing the big gap there. It's okay. People get washed out. There's a big gap. Let's head over to an in. Get back to the fun side of the ledger because that's more fun. Okay, I promised fun, and I'm going to deliver I'm going to deliver some fun. Here we go. Q2, 10:29 to go. We're now up 17-3, which stayed like that for way too long. We're at Miami's 46-yard line, and we're in a very familiar spot. 2nd and 20. That probably sounds familiar because we were in lots of those. 2nd and 17, 2nd and 22, 2nd and 20. It's like motto. We're in 2nd and 20 again. Now, I promise you, last week I gave an out to Charbonnet because he wasn't dynamic enough to cut to the edge when we had that awesome seat at Gillette Stadium. I promise you, this is not me digging on Charbonnet. I promise you. What I'm pointing out, Brandon, is that this play call on 2nd and 20 with the screen pass to Sharbs is so well done and extremely well set up and executed that when we do get back K9, this offense is about to explode, Brandon. I take it to this next all 22 look as well. The dude on the inside there is Zach Zeiler. I heard them say Zeeler, but I've heard others call him Zeiler. He's defensive tackle. He runs like a 4.4, 4.8 something, whatever. But Sharps has the ball in space and taking it one more forward. Boom. You've got, good block by Lakin on the outside there. And you got a defensive tackle bearing down on Sharps. And by the way, AI overview, you're drunk, go home. That was it was hallucinating. That's
34.9.
Yeah, that's what he said the 40 was. I was like, that can't be right. AI is not quite there yet with hands and 40 times, it turns out, right? So now Sharps does get caught for like a 2-yard gain from behind. Brandon, all I'm saying is, dude, this play is sensational. We can screen. We're going to screen effectively this year once K9 gets back. And dude, we just got to get this man back to be that explosive offense. It's coming. It's an in for what is to come with this explosive offense.
Well, and I think that Charbonnet deserves an in for some of those runs that he was able to perform, especially late in the fourth quarter. He was one of the guys who helped put it away. And so I think that not only on that play, he gets caught by a guy that runs a 34.940. That's not great. You need to be able to outrun those guys, Charbonnet. But he does deserve some credit for the performance that he put in against the Dolphins, because it really was a lot better than what we saw against the Patriots.
Yeah, and like I said, not putting any more shade on Charbonnet. He had a good fourth quarter. Now, the holes in the fourth quarter, that last drive, some of them are like drive a Mack truck through them. However, that touchdown, the second touchdown of his, that was awesome. He gets skinny, scoots through, escapes to the edge, has enough juice to get in. He was running through dude's face mask. So Sharps is a nice compliment. When Grubb gets back K9, which I think will be this week. I think that was always the plan. Once he got hurt week 1, it's an oblique. It's getting back for the fast track at Ford Field in a game that's probably going to be more high scoring. I'm just feeling that we're going to pop some of those this year because the play calling is right on 2nd and 20. And I really dug it.
Yeah, I think it's fair to expect K9 back this week just because it was 2 weeks that he missed the last time he had an oblique injury. So once you have that full complement, and hey, maybe we still get to mix in a little McIntosh too, it's going to be a nice group of running backs on this team.
And as we've learned with the NFL, whatever happens the week before absolutely happens the next week. That's just written in stone, right? So, all right, let us hop on over to an out, and let's do it. Oh, fun. Awesome. Yeah. Seeing some great comments from Jason Turner on screen. Don't forget the announcers calling Noah Font. And of course, we had JSN as
Jackson Smith and Jenga.
And Jenga. Oh, it was wonderful. It was Harlan and somebody else were like, guys, like, this is your job.
Kevin Harlan is good too.
I know. And
he's always on Seattle sports radio. I know he knows these guys' names.
And then he started saying Jenga. Then he got it right for like I don't know, like a play or two, and then he went right back to it. I was like, what is going on? The AI's drunk, Harlan's drunk, the whole lot of them are drunk, man. All right, this is the sober yin, so we're not drunk. We are composed on 3 in, 3 out without number 2. Q2, we're still up 17-3. There's 2 different times. I'll put it right on screen. This one could be a bit faster. Is that 2nd and 17 from our 30-yard line, a 2nd and 22 from our 30-yard line. They were basically back-to-back drives. Brandon, what I want to call out is if I'm going to praise Grubb and say, look, the explosives will be there, that he will get K9 into space, and we're going to see it when he's back. When that example of what that screen would have hit big too. Well, then I gotta go to the other side of the ledger and be like, what are we doing running inside draws from our own 30? So kind of, getting towards midfield where you could take some chances with a QB who's throwing for 75% completion rate on the year when we're up 17-3 and could put a team away. 2 inside draws in a row. We saw another one later. If it's 2nd and 17 or 2nd and 23, you're not like, oh, I need 8 yards to get a field goal, which we're not at that part of the field. Brandon, what are we doing running the ball here? I don't get it. It makes none of the sense to me.
It makes no sense here. It doesn't really make sense on the series that was to kind of close out the third quarter where they were in no, I guess it was the right at the end of that scenario. It was 2nd 11 and 3rd and 22. But from about 4 minutes left in the third quarter until nearly the end of the third quarter, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight passes when you're up 17-3. And out of all of those except for 2, you were in 1st and 10 or shorter. And that to me was a little weird.
Well, I think that's the part of the game, I believe, where they went back to tempo. Is that right? They actually went back in and were hitting.
No, they did go back to that, but I felt like
before that.
That was probably where they were hitting a lot of the quick hitters. Yeah, you're right about that.
Well, the thing too is like that whole part of the game, even on a rewatch, it's a slog because it's tough to get through it. And I realized there was disruption with flags and let's do the dynamic kickoff 3 times because it was so great the first time, and let's punt and then repunt and let's punt again. I tweeted this is the worst preseason game I've ever seen at one point. That did pretty well out there, but it's look, we have the offense, we have weapons, we have a very accurate quarterback. And in a situation in 2nd and 17, throw the ball over the middle to JSN, who he didn't have a lot of receptions, but he had really good yak, I think, on 2 of his 3 receptions. Like, just get it in dude's hands, 6-7 yards downfield, make it an easy completion, let them fall forward for 3 yards, get this to manageable. I would like Grubb. I watched the Bills last night, absolutely dismantle the Jaguars before I flipped it over and was like, well, this game's over. I would like that. It's just like, this team stinks. Like they're on the ropes. We're a much, much better team. Put them away. Put them in a body bag early, Brandon.
Well, we've got Sam Marcoux from Welcome to Perfectville in chat out on Twitter saying, I think Seahawks maybe slightly better than Miami. It's rough, Sam, after watching your quarterback go down and then watching your other quarterback go down. And maybe there's something to what Sam's saying here is that Seattle was throttling back. They didn't need to show anything else on tape after they got out to that early lead and basically an extra preseason contest for them. That's where I have a hard time being too hard on Ryan Grubb or the Seattle offense. You look around the league and a lot of these offenses through 3 weeks have been not that great. And you look at a team like the Bengals, who should be a really good offense with Joe Burrow at quarterback and, a decent running game and one of the best receivers in Jamar Chase. And they haven't been able to put a W up on the board. So for us to be 3-0 and maybe against slightly less competition, sorry, Sam, I'm happy to be where we're at.
Oh, for sure. For sure. This is what we're going to do on 3 and 3 out is we're going to pick some nits, and it's part of the deal. Real quick, does Joe Burrow or Higgins or Ushavis or Chase, do they play defense?
No,
they don't. Okay, cool. Because like they put up 30 something points. The defense just got just demolished by Jaden Daniels and crew. So, which is a fun, interesting team to watch. All right, let us get on over to that last in because we got more to do. Okay, in number 3, and sometimes I like to throw little pop quizzes Brandon's away live, and this is open to the folks that are commenting live with us right now. We got about 100 folks hanging out, and we love that. And remember, if you're here, subscribe, like the video, drop a comment when the video's done. The live comments are cool. The algorithm wants those comments that are like the comment comments and not the live comments. I don't know why it's different, but it just is. Brandon, pop quiz for you. Can you name a movie? Any movie where they
Speed.
start. Okay, perfect. Next, no, hit the whammy. Can you name a movie where they started at the end?
Oh, yeah, 12 Monkeys.
12 Monkeys. That's a good one. Okay, good one. It's not even on the. I just Googled it and there was a bunch there, but you got similar stuff.
It's on the list. It's right in the middle.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. There you go. It's you know what? It had a numeric and I didn't see it, but yeah, 12, good number, 12 Monkeys. That's an example. Memento, one of Christopher Nolan's earlier films. Awesome. American Beauty, The Paper Bag.
That one doesn't just start at the end. Doesn't it go from the end like all the way
kind of
through?
Loops. Yeah. It kind of gets to the midway point and then cycles back. It does a whole thing. I've seen a Christopher Nolan whiteboard thing and then wax pencil was kind of cool.
Forrest Gump doesn't count. That's just a narration. Cool.
Fight Club does a thing. So they start at the end and then they kind of tell you, well, how do we get to now? So what I want to show the audience and you, because you're seeing this live as well, is I want to show you the results. I want to show you Dodson about to put Skylar into the earth, nearly 6 feet deep. We don't want him to perish. It's like, hey, we all have our time. Don't want it to be on the football field. But with that, man, oh man, just Dodson just lay Thompson out. In the post game, Dotson's like, yeah, coach said, if you get this look, just go. So obviously got the look and just went. So great coaching. That's cool too. But the in goes somewhere else. Have you had a chance to watch this play back at all?
Ooh, well, if we're going in wise, I bet we're going to the defensive interior.
Ooh,
perhaps.
You're a smart man. You are, and my affinity. I like my beefy boys. I just do. I like my beefy boys. So this is what it looks like from the all 22. And I mean, Dotson's licking his chops, right? This is imagine the coach be like, if you
look
get
at that,
this,
look at those 2 slices of beef that he's in between.
Just a couple of ham hocks hanging out on Christmas morning, man. And this is simply that must be great. He's like, if you get this look, young man, you just go. So, but why is he able to go? It's because of 2 different things. Hall, by the way, great job. He's sprinting left. He's kind of hooking his guy and I think also heading towards that fullback. But the dude I have circled there, it's Mr. Hankey, Jonathan Hankins. Yeah. He's throwing this big like Clubber Lang left hook, and I'll progress it further. Look at the gap he creates for Dodson. He creates this running lane. So it's not just coaching. It's not just Dodson recognizing it. It's also the execution between Hall and Hankins. And if I'm going to choose the beefier boy. Hankins just making a huge lane for Dodson to fire through, dude. And then, of course, it just results in what we saw earlier. It's Skylar buried into the earth. This is good coaching, great execution. And I want to give the love to Hankins for clubber langing that thing and creating a huge hole for Dotson to go execute through.
Yeah, a ton of credit to Hankins on this play. Go back just one slide again, because
Sure. Of course I
there's
will.
one thing that you can definitely see from this image is that Dotson, he's keeping his eyes open, I think, to this other gap that's to the left of Derek Hall.
Yep.
And I think in part of that too is trying to recognize if it might be a little screen pass to where he could shoot that gap then and make a tackle for a loss. It also, for the lineman, I think if he were to just head to that gap, well, he's got his hands full with Derek Hall. Let's be honest, he's not coming off of Hall to try and get Dotson. But it kind of disguises just a little bit so he can go in either direction. And yeah, so a little bit more credit to Dotson there.
It's great. It's a great point by you too. I'm so glad you peeled us back here. And you can see his right foot in the air. He's about to like land on that foot, and then he just sprints. Once he realizes it's not a pitch, because that's what he's probably watching for. You're probably right. Like, okay, will this be a toss right? Ends up not being that. And he hits that right foot, hits the ground, and he's just beelining towards Skylar. It is so well executed. The fact that we got to hear that this was watch for this, and then they execute exactly this when it came up. And that's good coaching, dude. That is really good coaching. And again, great execution. So giving Hankins the love there. This stuff delights me. This is where I'm like, beefy boys getting it done. And Hankins, no Leo, no Murphy. They made adjustments in the second half. They were better against, they didn't run much in the second half, but they were better in the second half against the run. They got the big 3rd and 1 stops. There were a couple of plays where Hankins like shot down the line and just destroyed things. So he played really, really well. Look, we want Leo. We want Murphy, of course. We don't know what's going to shake with the injuries. We won't find out for a bit, but at least we could rest assured that we got this dude. And if we got to go against the big bodied Lions with like David Montgomery carrying the ball 25 times, it's going to be tough. But man, we got a guy like Hankins right in the middle who could really mess things up. And that's cool.
Yeah, Jonathan Hankins, the leading guy on defense for PFF grades. He had a 78.5. It was Dotson right behind him with 77.3. Tyus Bowser, who played 12 snaps, he was up there too. Jaron Reed, Derek Hall. So all those guys up on the defensive front, the top graded guys on our Seahawks defense this week.
Very nice. All right, cool. We got one more out. Might as well hit it. Let's get to it. Okay. So
right.
24-3. We dismantle a team that is playing XFL level quarterbacking, to be honest. And we're shutting down Tyreek. We're shutting down, Waddle has a couple. Yes, they had a couple of bigger runs, but still the stats are the stats. I'll go against myself there and say 11 for 30 is 11 for 30 is what it is. So Brandon, this is where I'm at with out number 3. I got nothing. I have nothing. If I'm going to go into like number 3, I'm talking about D Williams not catching a punt in the air. Meanwhile, D Williams returned the ball well. Like when he did catch it, he was really good. I was like, man, anything is going to be so nitpicky. I don't have a third out. Wondering if you do, or anybody in the thread that's with us live is like, yeah, this kind of bugged me because I watched it twice, man. And I'm like, I don't think I could justify giving somebody an out. That's how dear I hold it.
I mean, other than the obvious, one of the things I usually go to on defense is looking at guys who had multiple missed tackles. Yeah, we didn't have any of those guys. We missed 4 tackles the entire day. And
Amazing.
So you can't go to that on defense. But I think what you can do is you can go to things like, I don't know, pressure rate on the offensive line, penalties on the offensive line. Anthony Bradford, we can't escape without giving that dude an out.
Well, it's fair. And it's one of those things that someone who might be watching the show for the first time, be like, dude, what are you, some Pollyanna? You can't talk about something that's obviously bad. It's just not what we typically do on this show because for, a day and a half now, people have been talking about between Lakin and Bradford that it's been bad. It was really, really bad. But you're right. Bradford, there was a couple of times where Bradford wasn't engaged on somebody and he just was standing there. It was weird. He was literally was flat-footed, hands to his side, not doing anything. And I was like, what's happening in this particular moment? I don't get it. I guess the thing to spin forward is, do you think we see Christian Haynes? And yeah, that's the question. Do you think we see him at least more heading into the Detroit game?
Oh, we have to see him more heading into the Detroit game. One of the things that we heard from Coach McDonald afterward in the press conference is him saying that he felt that Bradford earned his reps on the offensive line just based on how he performed in practice throughout the week. I have a feeling that after watching the tape of this game,
Yeah,
he's going to have to practice awfully hard to continue to earn those reps because he was a disaster on the offensive line this past week. And that's on an offensive line where Laken Tomlinson is too. So if it were just Laken looking bad, then it would be one thing. But yeah, Bradford, when you draft a dude and that's his natural spot, I think we're going to have to see that. And just wanted to recognize Sojin saying too, potential out. Maybe Charles Cross getting thrown to the ground by, I think it was that other, was it Phillips?
I
That
think it
also
was
made that pass rush.
that was either Phillips or might have been Seiler also. I think Seiler got a
Okay.
sack on the day too. And I remember the play and for sure, Sojin, not a bad call out at all. And with that, of course, Cross has been good. So 3 games, 1 sack. We're gonna take that. But it's a fair thing to call out for sure. Yeah, the Bradford piece for me, man, is oh man, how do we frame this? It's just that the difference in him run blocking versus pass blocking, it's just the chasm's just too much. I don't remember a player where it was like on the Charbonnet touchdowns. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, nice job,
Yeah. There's
Bradford. They
Bradford.
cleared
Yeah.
that guy out. There he is. Look, he's stepping over a guy. He's still fired up. Some of those runs to the right side, I'm like, dude, Bradford's doing work. And then on pass pro, it's abysmal. He's getting stepped around really quickly. His footwork goes to you know what, and the pressure on Gino is just insane. And then Gino's still throwing 75% completion,
Yeah.
which is pretty darn good considering the pressure he's under. So look, my UConn homerism aside, I just don't know that it could be worse. And like, why not give Haynes a couple of revs?
Yeah. And it would be one thing if we were flip-flopped in terms of our run pass ratio. Like if we're running the ball, I don't know, even 50-50 to pass, then maybe you go with the guy that, yeah, he's going to truck some dudes in the run game and you want to run behind that right side. Yeah. If we're pass blocking more, it seems natural that we'll work Haynes in there a little bit more.
Yeah. Fast track at Ford Field, man. Like I expect Detroit to score some points. And the last 2 times we got together were whoppers, bonanzas of games, right? 30 plus and 40 plus points respectively for both teams, both times. So
Or do
we'll
we
see how
see
it
Jason
goes.
Peters at guard?
Yeah, that's right. We saw that he might be coming in for a visit. Did he get put on a squad? Did we sign him? I just heard he was kind of coming
only in for a visit, but we have
Yeah.
My Cool Videos 87 saying Peters is practicing.
Oh, all right. Well, look, we might see old man Peters out there, which again, I'm not sure that it could be worse. I don't know that it can be. So it'll be interesting. We'll watch that as the week goes on, but we're not done here, folks. We are not done here. We have our one rule. We know what the one rule is. Been over that, but we added another wrinkle a couple of years back now that not only when we win do we start with in, but we also get the extra in. We call it the brand in. Brandon, it's your turn to serve one up to me and the flock. What are you grooving on this week? And please tell us why it mattered to you.
All right. Well, I am going with a guy who I saw playing some human dominoes out on the field. And it wasn't until real late in the game, but it was Kenny McIntosh on the final drive late in the 4th quarter. He takes the handoff and takes it toward, I think it's between the right tackle and the right guard. Nice hole there. And who comes to fill it? It is Storm Duck of the Miami Dolphins. And it was Kenny McIntosh running over Storm Duck and then making Deshaun Hand drop like a domino. Hand was able to make the tackle, but I just love it when you hit one guy, he bounces into the other one falls down. And I also have to think that John Schneider, he has to be kind of jealous the fact that Dolphins GM has a duck and a waddle on their roster. But for Kenny
And
McIntosh, putting it on tape, trucking defensive backs when he just gets a couple carries, that's my Brandon.
I love it, dude. This is the fabric of our lives, man. This is the fabric of 3 in, 3 out that we are. Because why? Because we're insane a little bit. We're fanatics about this thing. Otherwise, we wouldn't do it. We wouldn't be so passionate about it. But we're talking about a fourth quarter Macintosh trucking. And the thing I would say about it is, I would still like to see some more Macintosh. He had a good run,
I
like a
know.
callback on holding. Like he's a good dynamic player. And if K9 can't yet go, cool. Let's get a little more canine on the fast track and Ford Field. So, I know why you're laying it down, but I also know that it could lead to some interesting things Monday night. So I like what you're doing there, Brandon. All right, perfect.
I am just happy, that he put that out on tape. And so he
Yes.
can say, hey, coach, look at that. I'm trucking dudes. And it's the fourth quarter on a run that doesn't even matter much. And Amy Holmes in the chat pointing out that it was an angry run nominee this week as well. So,
Oh,
man,
wow.
I guess Kyle Brandt even going into the nooks and crannies of the Seahawks offense this past week.
I love that. It's a great segment. So awesome and awesome to see that it got nominated. That is so cool. And I love that Jason Turner was calling out the blueprint. Yeah, we saw that as a nickname. We're like, why is he the blueprint? Okay, he's the blueprint, but that's what Kenny Mack is known as, and why not already? All right, perfect. So Brandon, we had the Brandon, we had our 6 ins, we had 3 ins, we kind of had 3 outs. We have one more thing to get to, and of course, that is the MVC, the most valuable cranny. Brandon, how this is 3 weeks in a row. 3 weeks in a row. I'm not mad. I'm just saying for folks that, getintheflock.com, we have to 3D print a lot of trophies this year, it turns out, and 3D printing materials, this is not an inexpensive ordeal for us. So getintheflock.com, become a member or join right here on YouTube like Marquez did earlier. And hey, if you're getting value from it, then a little back this way and come hang out all weekend long. And Brandon, with that, we do have our MVC. Any guesses who's going to take home the most valuable cranny week 3?
I'm just glad that I didn't portion out our 3D printer materials based on what the experts thought we would have in terms of wins through the season, because then I would have a very short supply. But because we have some outstanding members of the flock, we are in heavy supply of MVC trophy printing material. Let's hear you got.
Love it. All right. So without, I'm just gonna get right to it, my man. The MVC with all our supplies, it's of
Yeah.
course, everybody knew it. Come on, if you know me by now, it's of course the beefy boy Jonathan Hankins. And in the inscription on the very real physical MVC will be printing, which is right there. Just that's like an artist rendition of what it's gonna look like at the VMAC. It's gonna say, for thigh arm meat hooking a dolphin, O lineman into oblivion, allowing Dotson to destroy a human, who was Skylar Thompson. I think that's 5 lines, Brandon. I think I'm still within my rights there. That is the MVC for the week. How do you feel?
Here's what I think we should do is let's squish this 3 or these 5 lines down to 2.5 lines, and we put 2 huge ham hock bases on this MVC trophy, just to hold up an extra large logo on top. And I think it's fitting for Mr. Hankins.
Well, we've talked about the MVC being like, second to only the Stanley Cup, which has the levels, and they had to add levels throughout the year as they engrave more and more names. We're just adding 2 big old Christmas hams right on the left and right side to kind of show the shoot the gap that Dotson got. I think we should do it. And I think it's a great idea. And that's it. We should do that.
I wasn't planning on printing it that way, but I say let's get it fired back up. We're going to print this out right, because this needs to go in Jonathan Hankins' locker the way it should go.
Oh man, winning is better than losing, and it is fun. It is fun to be on this end of the microphone. It's fun to have over 110 folks with us live right now, and that, of course, you're with us now. You're with us on game day in the Discord, and we're going to go to the Discord now and get to our From the Flock section, which is where you get to tell us. Let me slide this over. You get to tell us what you saw out there. You heard our ins, you heard our outs, but we have a lot to get to. And Brandon, anything live you want to kick off with, if you want to go to the Discord doc, my man, it's yours. Take it away.
I'm going to kick things off with Carly Perkins in the chat, Car in the Discord with the in. I know we will get a 6 in show this season. the way the defense is playing, it is absolutely possible. If I had to pick, I want it to be one of the Niners games.
That would be the best outcome. And for those again, like, what do they mean? If we get a shutout, we get all ins. That's how it goes. Anything else? Sorry, it's going to be 3-3. Dems are the guidelines. Let's call it that. All right. We
Or
also have
3-2, like it was this week.
correct. And we have the truth as I know it. Very clever. Hankins is tough in our 3-4. The Cowboys should have kept him. Hey, the truth as you know it. Yeah, man. Cowboys are rough right now. That is a rough team. And yeah, Jay, always with the whiners. All right, so over to the Discord. I'm going to take us. We've got the first one there is Designed Pete's Beach House, which is Amy Holmes, who's hanging out live. She's an amazing flocker. She writes in starting fast. Out Bradford the turnstile. Yeah, and that is what he is. But man, that was, hey, the clock strikes 0 on quarter 1 and it's 17-3, Brandon. That's fast.
We got right hand Dan with the out, got away with a horse collar that could have completely changed the way that drive ended. I seem to remember that early on in the game. And
yeah, it was Tyrese Knight towards the edge there. Achane had gotten around the edge, and he did kind of. I mean, I thought it was late.
I kept waiting for the flag. I thought Sky Daddy might call down and have it thrown.
Yeah, thought it was gonna fly in. It did not. But someone who did come through for us, both in the Discord and then the player, Josh DeHuman saying Myers being clutch and putting the first points on the board. What was that, a 56-yarder to start? I think it was something like that, which was awesome. He gives an out to the Leo injury, gives an in to Pharaoh Brown with some pancakes. By the way, Pharaoh Brown was very, very close to earning an out because he whiffed on a couple things too. But hey, first game back, which also allowed Noah Fant to be more the move guy, 6 receptions, 60 yards with Pharaoh being there. So, if I got to put those things on the scale and say, does it all even out? Yes, I think it evens out. It's good.
Look at the big brains on Brad, remembering the 56-yard field goal. Well done. We got KDO at the in, coming right back after the interception. We've got right hand Dan back again saying if we're going to slate the O-line this season rightly, then we also need to credit them. Gave Geno and DK enough time and a clean pocket to uncork that touchdown. And a lot of credit to Charles Cross because he was holding his dude back as Geno was just hanging in there waiting for that to open up downfield to DK.
For sure. And I do got to put this on screen real quick. Oh, we got Sojin talking about some DK blocking for sure. Remember, folks, if you want to have yours read, get in the Discord. Then it will absolutely get read unless you put like 17 in there, which is great. Put them all in there, but we just can't read all the volume of one person's. But I did want to put this on screen when we're talking about font. Yes, my bad, Matthew. It is Noah Font, of course. All right, so we are back to the Discord. We go. Josh DeHuman. I'm bringing this up. Yeah, we just heard his name again, but he says Drake Thomas blew up that screen. Yeah, Drake Thomas almost blew up that guy's head too. That was pretty much another thing that could have been flagged. But Drake Thomas, another player that we really haven't talked about a lot yet. The nice stash took him from the Raiders practice squad or from the as a UDFA and stashed him all last year after he got injured. Kind of sneakily gets on our 53, and lo and behold, Brandon, Drake Thomas showing up and bringing his hat. Love that.
I saw someone mentioned it in the chat live earlier. We also have KDO in the Discord giving the in for the commentators for the longest Dolphins punt sequence, 4th in Tacoma, as they were in 4th and 39.
Yeah, that was fun. I got a couple of repeats on my screen. I'm scrolling. My bad. All right, there we go. So we're going to go to Marlon. Marlon in the Discord said, in the great play, never mind flag. There was a lot of that middle section was just like, let's forget this ever happened, which is okay because we got the W.
We got Sojin in the chat to Sharbs giving the in for getting small for that touchdown, the first touchdown of the day.
Yeah. And the second touchdown, he got small to get through that little, crevice between, not sure if it was Barner, but it was a tight end and Forsyth. While we're at it, man, Barner's been okay. I liked Barner. Barner was involved early. So another young dude showing out. We got the spy, the spy who spooned me in D-line with 6 sacks on the day. Yeah, there was a lot of really, really cool sacks. And what was your favorite, Brandon? Do you have a favorite of the day?
Oh, Dotson was probably the favorite sack, and not because Skylar got injured. It was just the heads up play, him coming in hot and getting to the quarterback fast. That was fun to see. Second favorite though, it's hard to pick between these two, but Hall like trailing, just
Yes.
tracking down Skylar from
Yes.
behind.
Had to be. Just the build of the crowd and being like, oh my gosh, it's about to happen. Like he's not going to throw it. It was almost like horror movie type stuff where it's like he's right behind you, and then no, you're dead, which I'm okay with. All right, I'll take it for living the good life out on the Discord. He says,
Yes.
out. I was worried for a moment that the SNF game would start and we'd still be playing, obviously because of the length and because of all the flags. He goes in. Showing our depth on defense by dominating today while down multiple key players. Astute point. This D-line has a lot of depth and they are well coached.
Matthew Phillips in the chat giving the end to Boye Mafe, ruining a team's quarterback. And we've got Josh DeHuman in Discord with the in 3-week win streak, number 1 in the NFC West.
Gotta love that. Car on a similar band here. She says in the Discord, in 2-game lead on the Niners and the Cards, feels good, and the Rams. Car, she's also with us. She's Carly Perkins in the live chat right now. So say hello to her. She's amazing too.
Sojin with a good out here, an astute out, as there were 3 fumbles in this game, and the Seahawks didn't record a single one of them. And it also reminds me of another one of my favorite sacks from the game, where Draymond Jones just comes. I think this was a sack. It should have counted as a sack. Draymond Jones comes off of the edge, off of his dude, and Skylar just like throws the ball up into the air as if he was so scared seeing Draymond that he's like, take the ball. And we still couldn't recover it.
Yeah, it was very much like a play from Necessary Roughness, that movie from the very late 80s, early 90s with, well, if folks who don't know it, all you really need to know is that Kathy Ireland is the place kicker. That's really all you need to know. There's other stuff.
That's the main takeaway from Clinton's childhood is that Kathy Ireland.
Look,
Necessary Roughness.
I had calendars as a boy, and one of them may have been Kathy Ireland. Look, she's a woman, right? So, okay. So we're back in the Discord. We got Frost, who's of course Ryan, who's always with us live. We love him. Great dude. He says in shutout caliber performance from the D, 60 full minutes of domination. He's given love to backup O-line Stone, basically just saying playing well as a backup. And we covered that certainly at the top. Also saying our tight ends came to play, and he goes fourth quarter Sharps. And that last drive, even if Miami's dogging it, even if they're just dead tired and they know they have no shot with a backup to a backup to a backup, Sharp still ran the ball really hard and put the game away.
Hey, if you get to talk some Kathy Ireland, I think Amy gets to talk some deep pantsing of some Dolphins players, giving the in for pulling the pants off of one of the Dolphins players.
Yeah, I don't even know who it was. The funniest part, I mean, someone could, identify that ass, but like, what is it? Rayshawn Jenkins, like hauling him down, I think it is. And you can't see his number, but you can see that it's a white dude and it's his butt. That's all you can see.
It's very much, you described that perfectly.
Well, thank you. I've had practice. I don't know if that's right. All right. So we got JSN Jiggy with it. Who is Lisa in Seattle? Back in the Discord I'm still happy with Grubb's adjustments. He rocked the quarters 1 and 4. Yep. 2 and 3. It's okay. We still haven't seen a full game yet. And I guess, Brandon, that's the question. Do you think we see 3 out of 4, a full game, 4 quarters of of what Grubb's trying to get done against Detroit? What do you think, dude?
If I had to guess, I would say in a place where Geno Smith performs 4 quarters routinely, it's at Ford Field. So yeah, I think this game coming up against the Lions would be the one.
Yeah, perfect. All right. What you got
All
next?
Right. Lloydzilla with the in. The coverage of Tyreek Hill all game. He never had any room. Even when he did catch a pass, there was no yak at all.
Shut down. Completely shut down. Even the bubbles they're trying to him, he dropped one, but that was not going to go for the distance they were trying anyway. Really, really well done. So between Hill and Waddle, just nothing going, which was cool. All right, we got Witherfork in the Discord with it out. He says, who the hell called JSN Smith and Jenga? And we covered it earlier, but the joke's so fun we had to say it twice. That was Kevin Harlan. So that's the answer.
My favorite thing about that, if you're not in the Discord during the game, you missed out on a lot of different gifs of people playing Jenga, as Kevin Harlan would announce Jackson Smith and Jenga multiple times.
Oh, it was the best. The best.
Smokey D Bandit with the in. Sharps putting on his beast mode glasses in the fourth quarter and finding the holes. Out. Penalties. They need a penalty jar for the offense. If you get a stupid penalty, you pay. And if they have a penalty-free game on one side of the ball, they get a night out on town using the money. Maybe a pizza party at the VMAC.
That would be nice. I like pizza. Brandon, favorite pizza topping? You got one to put on there. What are you going with?
Oh, gosh. I guess cheese.
I'm not even going to give you my answer. We got to move on. All right. So that's an amazing answer. All right. We got Hawk Van Dyke about to close this out. This is, of course, Dave Bloomquist over in the UK, our man, starstruck from London. Check out his YouTube channel. And if you're ever going to London, you really do want to check it out because he does an awesome job. Hawk Van Dyke says, in the kids and the Hall. So for the folks that are a little bit older, like Brandon and I, you're going to know that one. Hall played a ridiculous game. We love it. In the last 3-0 team was beating the crap out of the Donkeys on an early February evening. So I think we all know what that means. He goes out.
Going to the Super Bowl, that's what it means.
That's what it means. He goes out. Lions at 1:15 a.m. London time. Well, Dave, you're an American who left the country, went to Hong Kong, and now lives in the UK. So I'm going to say that one's on you, bud.
Yeah, those quarters 2 and 3 must have been especially difficult on Mr. On Dave.
No, Blooms on Bloomy, yeah. So that wraps it for us, Brandon. That was a ton of fun as always. Look, the thing I will always say is that we do this it's for passion, it's for fun, and I don't know, it's just we think it's a little bit different, but it's meant to be. It's meant to be a little bit more. It's a live show. It's meant to be with all of you, and I think you can notice that we're smiling the entire time. Now, Brandon, winning does help and make us smile a bit more. Is that true?
It does. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, we need to win, and we need to keep winning, and we need to go 4-0 against the stupid Detroit Lions.
Like as I said earlier, we're heading to Lumen Motown. We have Lumen East. We all know that East Rutherford is Lumen East. We win this game and we establish Lumen Motown, and we just start having a little empire, a little manifest destiny across the great United States, the lower 48. And of course, we're quite good over in the UK and Germany as well. Brandon, I am very excited that it's only Tuesday. We get a whole week to kind of marinate in this. I got a Sunday trip planned to Mystic, Connecticut with my family. We're going to walk around. We're going to eat, have a few drinks. I'll be checking my phone. I'll check in on NFL football. I'll watch the late game. But I love the fact that we get our first taste of the Mike McDonald team under the bright lights in a city that the NFL really, really wants to be successful. Who's a cool team. I like that team. I like they're doing the blackout jerseys with the blue helmets. So they're bringing it. I am excited for the energy that will be there, but I'm really excited for people to be walking out depressed because they realize that Geno Smith absolutely owns Ford Field.
We need to continue to own it, and shoot, maybe through this weekend, all of the other winless or lossless teams, maybe they can get a loss, and then we can come out of this weekend on Monday Night Football as the only team. I don't know if it's going to work out. Maybe there's two teams that have undefeated records that are playing each other that need to tie. I don't care. I need it to happen. I want our Seahawks to be the only 4-0 team coming out of this game on Monday night against the Detroit Lions.
And I think with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.